Alright, well, back out here on the tractor again. Last video, I got it all put together. Since then, I've put water in the radiator, put the gear oil back, and I actually cranked it, if you can tell by the manifold. But it runs really good, just like it did before I took it down, so just got a temporary gas tank on it right now, just so I can get it out of here. And I won't have to worry about getting paint stuff on it, but I've been just starting on this gas tank. I put some wax and grease remover inside of it just to see if there were any leaks, because I was a little concerned underneath. Right there, it looked like someone had soldered it and there was cracks. But there's nothing was leaking out of that, so for safety though, I'm gonna put a little bit of JB weld around it. And I also got to do the top the same way. That's not a factory thing. Somebody added that and it's starting to crack right there and it leaks, but a little bit of JB weld will just keep that from sloshing and getting in there. But I'm gonna start working on that gas tank. Gas tank's really nice inside, so it's not going to take a lot, just mostly external. And then I got the dash. Dash isn't too bad. There is some cracking on those corners right there. You can kind of see that one, but it's not terrible. And of course I got these, and then the thing the wires go in. Get that done, put on the tractor, and we'll be able to put gas in it and wire it up. So I'm gonna get to work on these pieces and start get something together. Alright, well, here's what we got going on right now. I went on ahead and sanded the tank all the way down, mixed up a little bit of JB weld and put it around that just to fill in those gaps. I'm going to go back over this with a little bit of Bondo just to hide the seam. I've got one dent here and one dent here I got to fill in, and we just got a bunch of pits. I've already put one coat of filler primer on and sanded that back down, and it got most of them. I can still fill all those, but they got some of these lighter ones, so that worked out pretty good. The sides are really good. They don't really need anything, so it's just mostly the top that needs the filling. But I'm gonna get a little Bondo thrown on these spots and around that, and I've got to flip it over and put JB weld on that plug on the bottom. And there's the brake covers and the tower piece. Still got to sand those. Probably going to sandblast the brake covers. And I might end up sandblasting the tower. I don't know yet. It's not really that bad, but if I can fit it in there, it saved me a lot of trouble. So, and I've got to weld those cracks. I think I showed you guys that, but there's two on, one on this side, one on the other, so I've got to fix those. And there's the wire loom thing. I get all this stuff on. I've got, from today, I've got 9 days. So I hope I can get it done. If not, it's not really a big deal, but I'm going to try to take my time and, you know, make it nice. I don't want to just throw something together for a few people to look at and go, yeah, okay, move on to the next thing. And it's not going to be complete anyway, because I'm not going to have the hood or the fenders done, so it's not a huge deal. But yep, let me get back at it. Alright, well, here's what I got going on so far. I've got the tank hung up on my clothesline. This is just more or less just to give me an idea of how I can do it. So my idea is that's going to be the main one. It's hooked into those two back holes, and that's my secondary. I'm going to unhook this, lower it down. That way I can go paint the underside, or prime the underside, paint the underside, and then whenever I'm done with the underside, I can hinge it back up again, and I can get the rest of it. Of course, I can paint as much as I want to with it swung down, but it'll be harder to get the front, so hang it up and get the front good. And then I've got all this stuff hand sanded down, all that stuff's ready to go. I put a little bit of filler primer just to kind of fill in some of those pits that were on this one, but I didn't get them completely out, but it's better than it was, so I'm out of filler primer, so it'll have to do. And the same thing goes for the dash. I've got filler primer, and I hand sanded everything out, got all the pits filled in, and I've got a little bit of glazing putty on that door because it's pretty rusty, but I've almost got everything ready. I'm gonna try this evening to get primer on everything, because I am running out of time. I've got a week. I've got 7 days. Really, I've got less than 7 days. I've got 6 days, because today is the day the show starts next week. So this is Friday, so the show actually starts Saturday, but I gotta have my stuff there Friday. So I'm hoping I can get all this stuff in paint before next week, and then hopefully on the tractor next week, and then I can start wiring everything up, because I've still got to wire the thing. But this will be the biggest milestone, getting all this stuff done. I did have to fill in some holes in my brake drum cover, but they hid pretty good. So this is one I got off of eBay, and it must have been sitting with water in it or something. But the original one that come on the tractor, it's a little bit better on the inside. It's got a little bit of rust. That's where it's set. Probably had water standing in it, but this one looks better on the outside, not so good on the inside. This one don't look good inside or outside, but there's no holes, so I guess it's the winner of the two. And then there's my dash. I just sanded it down both sides. So I'm gonna stop talking, see if this glazing putty's cured, and hand sand everything down, and do a final sand on all these parts, a final wipe down on all these parts, and hopefully get everything in primer. So that's what I'm gonna start doing. Alright, well, it's the next day. I've got pretty much everything as far along as I'm gonna take it. All I've got left to do now to the tank is I'm just going to hand sand it with 220. Get that primer kind of knocked down. That'll kind of fill in any of the small little imperfections that I missed, hopefully. And then I've got to wipe these brake drums down, or brake covers down, I mean. And I might sand those with 220. I don't know quite yet. The dash is ready, or the little dash plate's ready. The dash itself, I'm going to do it the same way as the tank, sand it down with 220, just to kind of go over it. I put some of that primer on the lid, where I put that filler. It looks pretty good, so that's going to be a challenge to paint, though. Not really looking forward to that, but we'll get it. And then I've got to sand that down to 220, the wiring tube. So I'm going to get started. I've got that pretty much ready. I just got to wipe it down with some wax and grease remover. Then I'm going to grab the next one, and we're going to hopefully be laying some primer on before night, because I want to get some paint on this stuff, hopefully before Monday. So, I'll be back. Alright, well, I got everything scuffed down. Got the brake covers, fuel tank, wiring tube, dash panel, and then a little dash cover hanging there. So, getting ready to lay down some primer. I got my intake, or my fuel neck taped shut, so no paint will get in there more than I've already got. But hopefully it'll wash out and be just fine. So, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing my primer. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how I like to mix my primer and my paint, but in this case it's just going to be primer. So on your paint gun, you always have a line that tells you how much this cup holds. Now mine holds about 16 ounces. So if you got a paint cup like this, it'll tell you on the side how many ounces it has. You can see right there, 16 ounces. So I know if I fill up to right about 14, by the time I thin it, I'll have about 16. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do it to 16, because since this is primer, I'm not putting any kind of hardener in it. If I do have a little left in the gun, I can dump it right back in the can. No real issues. So, I'm going to go ahead and fill it up to 14, sorry. And it'll be about 16 once I thin it. Alright, so I got 14 ounces. So I'm going to show you guys what the paint is like unthinned. Now I have thinned this a little bit just by dumping it out of the gun back into the can. So I'm just going to test it real quick here. Just see what we've got. Alright, now as you can see, it's making a stream. Okay. We don't want that. That's just a little too thick. Right. So I'm going to go ahead, grab my thinner. You don't put much, you just put a little bit. Not like that. Just going to go a little at a time because I don't know how much is in there. So, I'm going to mix it up good. And you'll feel the resistance gradually decrease. And also increase. It's sort of a weird process. Alright. That thinner in there real good. Now let's see what we've got. Still pretty thick. We want it to make a couple drops. So we'll know it's the right thinness. Put a little bit more in there. Alright, now see what that did. And you know, you can always put more paint if you get too thick, or too thin, I mean. At least in this case, if you're doing paint and you're mixing too much, then you're going to waste paint. So let's always be mindful of that. But with primer like this, where you're just putting paint thinner, it's not a big deal. Alright. You've almost got it. See how that stream's thinner? We're almost there to the right consistency. What you're looking for is a stream at first and then drips. That was very good out of a 14 or 1.4 paint tip like I've got. And I can mix it a little thicker and use a bigger tip. So this primer lays out so nice. So really don't have to do that. Alright, so that did. Also make the sound. Kind of get some drops. I think it's just something to let stick. Put a little more in there, just a little bit. Yeah. See what that did. I'm currently being eaten alive by mosquitoes. There's like 5 swarming around me right now, and I don't like it. Let's see what that does. That's got it. That's what we're looking for. Let's pour it in our gun. Always use a strainer. I mixed a good bit up, but I know I'll use every bit of it because I've got to do that gas tank. That gas tank's going to take a lot of primer. Alright. Well, there it is. Alright, well, I sprayed everything. Got the brake covers and everything. That was the roughest one. You can still see some pits, but it's fine. It's just a tractor after all. Gas tank looks really good. A few spots right there and around the lid where I was doing body work and didn't quite get it all sanded out, but I mean it looks good. One little pour right there where the Bondo didn't quite seal up all the way, but that paint is so thick that I don't think it'll matter that much. Everything else turned out pretty good on it. There's the dash. It looks fantastic. Here's the tower. I didn't really do too much to the inside of it because it's the inside. You don't really see the inside, so it's a little rough. But there's the lid. It looks good. Not a lot of pits, so that's going to look really beautiful when it's painted. My stupid camera ain't wanting to focus on it. There it goes. Alright. And then, of course, there's the wiring tube. It turned out okay. It's pretty rough, but it's interesting that it still had it. So, you know, it's neat. So I'm going to let this stuff dry all night. Hopefully it'll be cured out enough tomorrow to paint, I hope. Because I would love to get this thing in paint before Monday. But we'll see. If not, I have to get off work and come over here and do it. Well, once I get this stuff done, it's just a matter of wiring it up and hooking the fuel line up, of course. Oh yeah, I figured I'd mention this. That's how much paint I had left. A decent amount, but like I said before, I can put that right back in that can. So, that's what I'll do. Alright, well, got paint on everything. So, hopefully tomorrow or the next day I can get that little dash on. And then I can start running my gauges and put my choke cable in and all that. Get it wired up, so we'll see what happens. Alright, well, here's what I got so far. Got the headlights put in. They're not wired, but they're put in. I've just run the wire and grounded them out. I've got the alternator wired up. Got the gas tank put on. Got a temporary hose run. I'm not 100% sure how these things worked, unless, of course, this battery might be taller, but there's just not a lot of room in here. I don't see how they had a hard metal line and everything run, but I guess they did. But it just seems like this is a big chunk of space. There's nothing there, and then you got the battery. That needs to be here, and this needs to be there. But I didn't design it, so yeah, I got a little bit of the dash wired. Got the gauges put in, push button. I've just got a kill switch right now. I don't have the correct rotation switch, the headlight and everything in one. I've got one, but it's messed up. It's missing a contact inside of it. So I've got one of those on order, but it's not going to get here until after the show. So pretty much it's ready to go to the show. That's all I'm going to do to it. The only other thing I'm going to have to do is change my coil wire to points. I have to shorten it up. That's the only wire I haven't changed, but other than that, everything is pretty much permanent over here. I've got all this stuff loomed in. All I've got to do is run 2 more wires for my lights. and of course put that main switch in, and I've got to get I forget what it's called, but it keeps the power from going back, because right now when I cut the switch off it stays running because of the alternator. So I've got to get one of those things and hook it in to where that'll stop. But other than that, we've got it going. Got the brake covers put on, fuel tank. So, well, got back from the show. I didn't get to film anything. A lot of family and friends were there talking to us, so we were kind of, wasn't really able to do much. I did make a pass around the show, but I didn't film the pass. I hated that. Time kind of got away from us today. We were kind of busy, but I won second place with it. So, hey, I'll take it. But it was just a little local show. It wasn't very big. A John Deere A won first. This one won second, and I forget what won third. Something won third. But but if I'd had that hood on there, fenders, heck, it could have got first. I don't know. A lot of people like being able to see the motor. You don't really see a motor like that too often. So yeah, 1 second. But like I said, I do apologize for not being able to film, or not filming anything. I kind of forgot. I meant to, but I forgot to. But I think I'm going to call the video here. I don't know how long this video is going to be. But on the next video, I'm going to start wiring up the headlights and get my switch in. My switch did come in a couple days ago for the main switch. And then I got to come up with put the light back in here, and I got a fuse I got to put in right there for the lights. All the gauges work. My oil pressure dropped a significant amount. I don't know if it's just because of that gauge ain't the greatest, or it's running about 25, which is it's perfectly fine. 25. It's like whenever you get up on the RPM, it stays about 25. Then you let off and the needle drops and stays dropped, and then it picks back up again. So I don't know what's causing that. Not really too worried about it, because the motor still, it sounds fine. It doesn't sound like it's starving. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here. So thank you guys for watching. I do apologize for not filming any of that show. I know I said I was, but I didn't. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.